What up, y'all? Thank y'all so much for dropping by, man. I'm just gonna dive right into it, man. We're gonna dive in that Resident Evil, some gameplay, and then we're gonna have some journalists actually go over some of the top horror games and some of the games that's coming out, some of the scary, spooky, creepy, crawly games that you guys can be looking forward to in the future on Xbox Series S and X, PC, and PS5. So if you guys enjoy stuff like this, man, make sure you smash that like, that subscribe button, click that notification bell, so you will be notified. Excuse me. You will be notified whenever I drop videos like this, pretty much going over games, having fun, and just trying to keep you guys updated on everything that's going around the gaming industry out here in these gaming streets. So without further ado, man, we're just gonna dive right into it, and it's about to get spooky.
What the hell? Is it over? Damn it. Okay. There's no end to them.
For more Resident Evil, make sure to check out our Lady Dimitrescu Mercenaries gameplay or our Resident Evil 4 Remake hands-on preview.
I'll slice you to ribbons!
Choose an ability.
Really? This thirst.
Choose an ability.
Looking for more Resident Evil? Well, go on and watch our third-person village gameplay or our hands-on preview of the Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch, our show following everything that's going on with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. I'm Damon Hatfield, and joining me as always is Max Scoville from iTunes PlayStation Podcast Beyond. And Ryan McCaffrey, host of IGN's Xbox Podcast Unlocked.
Good to actually for real see you, Damon.
It's so weird. I was like looking at that camera because I'm used to doing it the remote way.
I've infiltrated the San Francisco office here, so we're all three in the same studio together today, which is nice. We're going to talk about horror games. Halloween is right around the corner, and specifically we're going to talk about horror games you can play on your next-gen console. As the consoles are almost 2 years old now, they've been building a library of horror games, and there's a nice stable, and there's even a bunch of interesting games that are on the horizon in the horror category that are coming up. So let's try to take stock of what's available out there right now. On both platforms, you've got several Resident Evils, Resident Evil 2, 3 remakes, then 7 and Village, which has some new DLC coming out very soon. There's Alan Wake Remastered, which was out earlier this year, and then Back 4 Blood, the Left 4 Dead-like, which was really well received at launch, although it's a year out and I'm not sure how many people are still playing it.
Game Pass, though.
That community's like. It is on Game Pass. And then, of course, you got some exclusives. Max, on PS5, you got The Last of Us Part 1. That was recently released. So what would you say your picks on the PlayStation 5 for best horror games available right now?
Oh man, I gotta go with one of the Residents Evil.
Which one, though?
I think Village, especially because they just added a third-person mode. So if the first person is too spooky, you can pop it to third person. I haven't actually messed with that yet, so it could be even spookier. I don't know, but that is just a really fun game. I had such a blast with this. I don't know. It borders on goofy. Like it's almost like monster cereal. Like I don't find castles and vampires too horrifying. But there's also some good scary stuff in there. It's just a good time.
It's also a lot of just gross body horror stuff. A lot of terrible things happening to your hands.
If you're upset by injuries to hands, don't play this game.
That game is very, very good. Actually, I think all of these modern Resident Evil games have been really exceptional. And then Ryan, over on Xbox side, Scorn is an exclusive, which maybe turned out to be a little bit more puzzly adventure than we were anticipating.
Still gross. And definitely falls into the genre.
What would be your pick on the Xbox side of things?
Well, my first one, I will say, Max wisely stole Resident Evil Village. It's a great pick. RE Village is a fantastic choice, but I will stay in the Resident Evil family for 600, Damon.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with Resident Evil 2 Remake. This is a game that still looks awesome on the Series X or PS5. I think it's fair to argue it's still the gold standard by which we measure any full-on remake in this modern age of many remakes and remasters that we are now living in. It's better than RE3, I think. You agree?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I liked RE3, but it had a very high bar to stand up to.
Yeah, they modernized it without making it feel old or completely different. So it doesn't just look like a pretty old game. Like it feels like something that came out this decade, but yet retaining all of the soul and core goodness that is RE2. So I think if you've got a PS5 or a Series X, Resident Evil 2 Remake, solid pick.
Those are both great picks. It's interesting that you mentioned RE2 being the sort of gold standard by which remakes are measured, because we've got Dead Space Remake coming up in January, another survival horror remake. So it'll be interesting to see how that holds up to Resident Evil 4. If we're looking at all these upcoming horror games, there actually are quite a few. There's Callisto Protocol in December, which I'm very excited for. Dead Space in January, Resident Evil 4 Remake in March, and then sometime maybe next year, Silent Hill F. I don't know if they.
So there's Silent Hill F, and there's Silent Hill
Remake 2
Townfall, and there's
Ascension.
Also Remake 2, and there's a lot of Silent Hills.
There are 4.
Yeah,
we were talking about them on Unlocked
They're
today.
keeping busy over there.
Yeah.
And then Silent Hill F, I don't think they've even announced a platform yet for, although the Silent Hill 2 remake is going to be a PS5 exclusive. There's also Killer Clowns from Outer Space. There's actually a pair of these asymmetrical multiplayer games, Killer Clowns and then Texas Chainsaw Massacre, are also due out.
Which is really fun, by the way.
Oh, you played that?
I played that. I previewed it. The preview's on IGN.
I want to check that one out.
It's 3v4, and it totally works. It's super fun.
Wait, clowns or chainsaws?
Not Killer Clowns.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
3v1?
3v4.
3v4. But
4 teenage survivors who've been trapped there. Here we go. Here's some footage. And the 3 family members.
Oh man.
This was a lot of fun. Even though the build I played was clearly early. I mean, this game's not out till sometime next year, but it plays great already.
It already looks pretty brutal.
The 4 kids are just trying to get out, and the family members, everybody has a unique ability, and just check out the preview. I'm shamelessly promoting my own piece, but there's a lot to dig into in this game, and it's very fun.
I think I've been on Blackout on this one since it first got sort of teased, and it looks so much like the original movie.
Yeah.
Like it's got that kind of 70s haze to it, and I had no idea that it was the whole family. That completely changes the dynamic, and Killer Clowns is the same way, which I think is interesting because this sort of asymmetrical formula has up until now mostly been like one monster, multiple survivors on the run, but kind of balancing a little bit is I feel like that could make it even scarier.
Yeah. And then finally there's Alan Wake 2, which hopefully it comes out
Which
next year.
we're told by Sam Lake is a full-on survival horror game, whereas the Alan Wake 1, one of my favorite Xbox 360 games ever, is more of an action-adventure game that has some creepy little moments.
Yeah, supernatural elements.
Yeah.
Ryan, there's actually some Xbox exclusives on the horror side that are coming up too. State of Decay 3?
Yeah, we could. That's more of an RPG to me than I don't know. I've never really found them scary, but maybe this one will pivot that way.
Well, I have maybe I would include any sort of like zombie stuff into like.
We had a whole debate
category.
about this on Beyond this week because there's so many horror elements in non-horror games and like what makes a horror game versus a scary game that isn't horror. But yeah.
Well, then maybe you wouldn't consider vampires in Redfall in the horror category as well.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's
all vampires. I'm gonna throw it in there.
Well, and then the one I would want to add too is Hellblade 2. Saga. I mean, that's psychological horror by design. That's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 on that. So
do we have a release window?
We do not.
Man, we've been waiting on that one for a long time.
It was not in the last showcase, which means it's coming out after June of 2023. But when?
And it was like the first game announced for
the first ever Series X game announced. Yeah.
Well, hopefully the wait is worth it. Well, speaking of waiting, there's also Stalker 2, which has some horror elements as well.
Yeah,
maybe not hard
definitely
horror.
fair. The sentimental pick for the game everybody's going to want to root for and be awesome. And the good news is the track record of that studio suggests that game's going to be nothing but awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So Brian, what would you say? What's your pick for your most anticipated upcoming horror game?
I mean, out of all those, it's hard to argue against Stalker 2 for gameplay reasons, for life reasons. Want to see that team just have a huge hit and a huge success after everything they've been through, as their own team members have gone off to defend their country. But yeah, this game we got as we're seeing here a huge gameplay demo. This is like a 5-minute gameplay piece back at Showcase sometime last year. Time is a blur, but it looked incredible then, and it's only going to be more polished and more just put together. And yeah, I can't wait to play this because I mean I love first-person shooters, and I love single-player first-person shooters, and I love story-driven first-person shooters. This is all of those, and I can't wait to play it.
Also, this action really looks next gen.
It really does.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this looks really impressive. I'll definitely check it out. I feel like I'm less excited for it just because there have been so many sort of post-apocalyptic, maybe Cold War infused, survival games like that. I'm looking forward to RE4, which just seems like a very safe bet looking ahead. I mean, we've been talking about Resident Evil a lot here, but that's such a fun entry because it is sort of that pivot into action. It gets a little bit over the top, but it's still got some great monsters and creatures and scary moments. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that one too. It'll be interesting to see how it turns out because compared to Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4 already feels so much more modern, right? Less in need of a remake, although it's almost 20 years old.
I didn't realize until you just ran down this list, Damon, how many horror games are on. Like, there's a lot.
2023 is going to be a big year.
I know this genre has been kind of blowing up for the last few years, but man, there are a lot of horror games coming out.
I mean, there's a solid decade there where that wasn't the case. Like, you had a handful of indie things, but it was the day or the week of the Silent Hill announcement stream where we got all that news was the week of the 10-year anniversary of the last full Silent Hill game, which was the Vita dungeon crawler, which barely counts as a Silent Hill game. But there was that whole stretch of Resident Evil games where we were like, Capcom, what are you doing over there? What's going on? Like, there's we don't really talk about RE6 much, but like they clearly righted that course, so it's good time to be in a horror.
Well, I for one welcome our new horror game overlords. We have the results of the poll from last episode. We asked you have you managed to find the PlayStation 5 yet? And 62% of you said yes. 62% of our respondents have found one. Almost 21% said they're not interested, they're not looking, and then another 17% said no. So 17% out there, Max, are still Still looking for one, but we were talking about you're supposed to be 4 times more likely to find one this fall.
There was a photo going around on Reddit of somebody being like, "This is the first time I've seen these stay in stock for more than a day," and it was one of those lock cases at Target or Walmart or wherever, and it was just a stack of them, and it was
there you go.
It was weird because most of the photos you've seen of a stack of PS5s were in like a scalper's garage. So
that's true.
There's still 1 in 6 people watching this that want a PS5 still can't find one. Like 2 years in. 2
years in.
That's too many. Too many people that are still. We need to get those people some PS5s.
Well, we wish much luck to that 17%. A new poll for you to vote on for our next episode. What is your most anticipated next-gen horror game? Callisto Protocol, Dead Space Remake, Resident Evil 4, one of the Silent Hills. Make sure to vote at IGN.com and we'll share the results with you next week. And that's going to do it for this edition of Next Gen Console Watch. Thank you to both Ryan and Max. Thank you to everyone working behind the scenes here in our San Francisco studio to make this episode possible. My name is Damon Hatfield. We'll be back next week. Same time, 6 a.m. Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific. No, 9 a.m. Eastern. 6 a.m. Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, with more PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news. I've only been doing this show for like 2 years.
You're jet lagged from your flight that was an hour long. Jet lagged
from my flight from LA. I'll see you guys next week.
And there you guys have it, man. Make sure you smash that like, that subscribe button, click that notification bell so you guys can be notified on all of the new latest and greatest news in these gaming streets. And if you would like to jump into the Xbox ecosystem, the PlayStation ecosystem, or rent games, or if you like merch, you can check out some of my clothing by clicking the links down below in the description. Thank you and peace.